Focus. First, we will define what is the definition and details of focus. The story of a German professor to teach philosophy, but he wanted to learn the art of attention. Then there is a story of which was very popular in. After that, there is a story of Eisenhower, as you all know, was the president of United States. He was a general, and it is said that he was the most effective person, most productive person, not only of his time, but till today he is remembered for his productivity. Thereafter, there is a two-list method designed by Warren Buffett that is also very effective, and we'll talk about it. Then back home, we will talk and the story of Eklavya. Here has talked about certain points, about 12 tips to improve focus, which also I'll describe. All of is on something. To so that you can spend time you are handling. Now you have to say yes to one and no to many other, but this no is not permanent. This no is for present. Once you are through with the job at hand, then again you can focus on things that matter. Focus on only those things that matter and totally ignore others. As you know, this is a noisy world, so the top research is clear about how to focus, and we'll talk about it. Now I'll tell the story of a German professor. In 1920, the German professor named Eugene Heringal moved to Japan. He went to Japan to teach philosophy. But at the same time, he thought that he would like to learn the art of attention from the Japanese masters. For that, he decided to learn Kyudo, the Japanese martial art of archery. And he chose a teacher, a legendary archer, Awa Kanzo. But he was a little upset because 4 years the teacher told him only to follow one point, one target, and he suggested that you keep on focusing the target, and of course it irked the German professor, but because the teacher was very illustrious, so he couldn't say anything, and he did that. So he said, at least you allow me to shoot at a larger distance. So the teacher said, okay. The moment he made the distance a little more, The effort of the German professor was dismal. But at the same time, still he said, okay, the way you are teaching me, it will take years. And if that is so, I am sure that you must have acquired that mastery that you can even target in the dark, total dark. But I like to see. The teacher said, okay, come tomorrow evening. So next day evening, the professor went there and he saw that there was a target. It was total darkness. And the teacher shot 2 arrows, one after another. And both hit the target. Both hit the same point. And this amazed the German professor. He said, I had never seen in my life anything like this. So, the teacher told him, look, this is how you have to focus. And it takes time. You don't have to feel upset. Doing the same thing and still to continue doing the same thing will ultimately help you. Here I am reminded of Bruce Lee saying, I am not afraid of the person who practices 10,000 kicks, but I am really frightened of the person who practices one kick 10,000 times. How true. It is the repetition which gives you the power. Repetition which gives you the power of focus and the pursuit of excellence. Now I'll talk to you about Ivy Lee method. Charles Schwab, he was one of the richest person in the world. In 1980, he came across Mr. Lee, and he was told that Mr. Lee is a person who can advise about productivity better than anybody else. Charles called him and he said, okay, what you can do for me? Show me a way to get more things done from my organization. Lee replied, give me 15 minutes with each of your executives. Then Schwab arranged the meeting, but at the same time he asked, how much it is going to cost me? Lee said, nothing. Nothing till you find that whatever I have advised has given you the results which is to your expectation. After 3 months, the results were so effective, so nice, so detailed, pleasant, and it delighted Charles, and he called Mr. Lee, and he said, look, here is a check for $25,000, and $25,000 in those days means nothing less than $400,000 today. Here also this procedure was very simple, which Lee had said. What? He said he had told the executives that at the end of the day, you write 6 things which you like to do the next day, the following day. 6 most important things. And when you come the next day, start doing those things. Don't look for anything else. And suppose you are not able to do all, whatever number you have done, the balance you add to the six things of that particular day, and you move the same way. The executives thought it's a very simple thing. So also had thought Schwab. But as I have told you, the results were so great that Schwab did not hesitate to give the big sum to Lee, and the method is known as Ivy Lee method. There is nothing great about it, but the results were great, and we can also try. Next, I'll talk to you about Eisenhower box. Eisenhower was the president, very successful president of US. He was the chief of the army. He was also he was chief of NATO too. And whatever he achieved for the country is remembered. And people remember him for his achievement and remember him for his productivity. That he was the most productive person. What did he do? This interstate highway system was developed by him. And thereafter, the entire US are thankful to President Eisenhower for that. Then he launched the Internet for Defense Services. Internet was not as strong as we find it today, but whatever, that was the beginning of Internet under DARPA. It was known as DARPA, DARPA. Besides, space activities, NASA, that was also established by the General Eisenhower. Now, even though he was having a very busy schedule as per Commander-in-Chief, Supreme Commander of NATO, besides his own assignments, yet he was golfing. He would not leave his hobbies, golfing and oil painting. Now, what was his strategy? His strategy is known as Eisenhower box. And what is that? So now you imagine that there is a rectangle. Now divide the rectangle into 4 equal boxes by drawing perpendicular line and horizontal line. In the first box, write urgent. In the second box, write not urgent. In the first box in the second line, which is the third, write delegate. And in the fourth box, that is second box in the second line, write down delete. What does it mean? The first one is urgent, something which cannot wait, and it is urgent and important. Therefore, according to the Eisenhower box, do it. The second, since it is not urgent but it is important, so you have to take a decision whether to do or not to do. The third, you should delegate because it is urgent but it is not important. It can be done by some of your juniors. And the fourth one, which is neither urgent nor important, just delete. Don't spend a minute on it. Because he said, what is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important. So these are the things that we must remember from Eisenhower box. And let me tell you, the same Eisenhower box became inspiration for Covey, Stephen Covey, who had his own matrix, and that became very popular. Of course, that was a little advanced version of this box. Then we have to talk about our own Indian stories. But before that, Warren Buffett, he had two-list method, two-list strategy. So once he called his personal pilot, he asked his pilot Mike Flint to note down 25 goals of his life, 25 goals of his career. So Mike wrote those 25. Then he said, now you circle only 5. He did circle, the pilot circled 5, which are most important according to him. Then, third step was, he said, look, you have to focus only on the 5, and what will you do about the balance? This question was asked to the pilot. He said, look, I will do my best only on these 5 and balance whenever intermittently I get some time, because they are also important, I will do it. Buffett said, you got me wrong. Everything you didn't circle became avoid at any cost. Those things are to be avoided at any cost, because if you don't avoid, they'll keep on disturbing your goals. So, no attention till you completely finish these 5 satisfactorily. So, elimination of things which can interfere in what you are doing is most important. Now, back home, we have also similar stories. Incidentally, our stories are ancient. These are 200 years old or 100-year old, whereas our stories are ancient, but they also establish the same point of how to develop focus, point of the importance of focus. Now here, the first thing I remember, that there was a teacher who was teaching archery to some of the students. So he took the students in the jungle. He hanged one bird made of wood, and told the students, look at the bird, and you have to shoot in the bird's eye. He called one person, one of his students, asked him, what do you see? The student said, I see the jungle, I see the nice tree, and I see the bird hanging from one of the branches, and I see the bird's eye also. He said, okay. Then he called 2-3 more. They also described. And when the real intelligent student came, he said, look, master, I see only the eye. I don't see anything else. So this is similar to the story of Arjun when he went for Swayamvar. He was supposed to shoot the eye of the fish, which was moving, and he was not supposed to look at the fish, but he was supposed to look only in the in a reflection of the fish in the pond, and he did it. It's amazing feat which was done by, which was performed by Arjuna. Swami Vivekanand was once moving around in a small town in US, and he saw some of the children, boys, young boys, they were just trying to shoot. They were standing on the bridge, and there was a river down below, and they were trying to shoot the shells, but they always missed. Swami Vivekananda was intently looking at them. Then he went close to the boys and said, "Let me try." And the 12 shots that he made were all successful. They were amazed. Swami said, "Look, it is only focus. So that is what you have to do." Now, our stories don't end here. We have a very most effective story of Eklavya, which I think you might have listened to. Eklavya was a prince of hunters, but he was a Shudra, the lowest category of caste. He asked his father, "Father, I want to learn, I want to become a great archer, and I want to learn from Dronacharya, who I have come to know that he is the best teacher, and I want to learn from him." The father kept quiet, but when he insisted again, he said, "You just give me your blessing. I'll myself go. I know we are from the lower caste." So he went to the ashram. He went to the ashram where Dronacharya was teaching his shishyas. He approached him. Dronacharya asked, "Who are you?" He said, "I'm a prince from that community of hunters." Then he said, "You are a Shudra, but I am a Brahmin. I teach only Kshatriyas. So all my students are Kshatriyas. So I am afraid I can't teach you." Eklavya wasn't dismayed. He had decided he'll not give up. He came back, started practicing. Now the story goes that after a few years, once Eklavya was moving around in the jungle, so he found a dog was barking. So the barking dog was irritating Eklavya. So he fired 5 arrows, and the dog could not bark anymore. But the dog was not injured. Now Arjun happened to see this, and he told Dronacharya, who said, "Look, I like to meet him. It's a feat. It's something unimaginable." So both of them went to meet Eklavya, and Dronacharya asked, "You are a very good archer. Who is your teacher?" Eklavya said, "You are my teacher. See, you refused to take me as your shishya, but I had determined that you should be my teacher. So this is the image which I built, a sculpture of yours, and I have been practicing. So he said, yes, if I am your teacher, then you should give me Guru Dakshina. Eklavya said, yes, I am so glad that you have accepted me as your Shishya. Tell me what you want. Tell me what can I give. I'll give anything to my Guru. And at that time, Dronacharya said, I want thumb of your right hand. All he wanted was that he should not be a better archer than Arjuna. So there, he did not, Eklavya did not take 1 minute to think about it. He just cut his thumb and gave it to him. So this is the story of dedication and focus. The way he has learned, the way he was determined, no, I'll learn from the master, and he learned, and the kind of sacrifice which he made is exemplary. Well, that was the tradition, our Indian tradition, of which we are always proud of. How to stay focused when you get bored towards working your goals. This is the crux of the stories that I have told you. You have to remain focused even when you don't like, when you are bored, when you are upset. But if you can handle, that is the beginning of your success. Working, when work is not easy, that should be the primary aim of your life, that you should not be afraid of difficulties. And then it is not the event which is important, it is the process which is important. When you look at the event is the result. You want to become healthy, you say, okay, if I lose 10 pounds, I'll be healthy. No. Losing 10 pounds is an event. But the process is how you daily look after your diet, your exercise, your routine. So that is the process. And you have to love your process. You have to love the process, and then you will definitely achieve the goal. So likewise, if you are a businessman and this is a story told by James Clean, that the businessman wanting to feature in New York Times, so he has also not to see the New York Times. He has to enjoy the way he is supposed to work for increasing his business. Likewise, many others, it is the story is the same. You have to fall in love with the process. You don't have to only work for the event. And our Bhagavad Gita also states, Bhagavad Gita advises of non-attachment. What is non-attachment? Non-attachment with the result. The moment they say, okay, you should do good, you should do your duty, but you should not worry about the result. The results will come. But if you keep on worrying about the results, then you are not in a position to give your full attention to the process, to the work that you are doing. So therefore, the process is always very important, and it's important that we should love the process. Now, James Clear, whose book I have read and I am very much impressed by him, he said, focus the ultimate guide on how to improve focus and concentration. So he gives certain tips. He says focus, what it is he defines, and he defines in his own way. He says, and then he defines why I can't focus, or means why the reader can't focus. Then he talks about myth of multitasking. Multitasking is fashionable. You these days people think that by doing 3 4 things at a time they are saving, they are doing more work, but it's a fallacy. It is not true. Then we have, each person has an attention span. Attention span can be 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, or maybe 1 hour. Now, whatever your attention span is, it's necessary first you measure, try to understand, and then keep on increasing the attention span. It's only with practice you can definitely keep on improving the attention span, which in turn will be helpful in making your focus more efficient, and your productivity. Finally, it is also your health. You have to maintain good health to maintain focus. To remain focused, it's necessary that your health should be good. And James, he gives a few tips, in fact 12 tips, which I like to repeat. The first tip is brain training. Here he says that you must start playing some brain games like Scrabbles, like any other any other game which requires uh, attention, which requires application of mind. Chess, for example, and there could be many more. He further says that even video games, if you are really trying to improve by the day, it is going to be very helpful. Third, he says you should have adequate sleep. Sleep less than 7 hours is not good. Preferably, it should be 8 hours in a day. Regular exercise is another item of routine which he recommends. So you must exercise every day according to your capacity. Then spend some time with nature. Don't always be in your workplace or in your home. Also go out and spend time with nature. Meditation is also helpful. And simple meditation. You just sit quietly and watch and think of only your breath. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, and then try to control the time that you breathe in with the time that you breathe out. And then later on, you can also have rests. For example, breathe in, then hold the breath, breathe out, then hold the breath, again breathe in. This is a very simple exercise, but like whatever I have told, very simple things. But you don't have to get bored. You have to keep on doing. That will bring results. Then when you are working, after your each attention span, you must have a break for 5-10 minutes. Break which will increase your productivity and also your focus. Music is another thing which increases your attention span. Music that you like. Instrumental music is best. Then you have to take proper diet. If you are not controlling your diet, that also will affect your mental capabilities. Now, caffeine is also helpful in improving the focus. Coffee, not a number of cups, maybe, but 1 or 2 cups of coffee is also helpful. Then there are some supplements available in the market, but that should be taken only under guidance of a doctor. Concentration workouts are also there, so one can see what suits you, and accordingly you can carry out that, put that under regime. There are various other treatments for health which are helpful. It also depends upon your conditions, and if you continuously work for improving your health, mental health and physical health, that will be very effective in overall your efforts for improving focus and therefore productivity. Thank you very much. बेवकूफ़ी कर दी ना तुमने
क्या?
लास्ट में। एक तो म्यूजिक का नहीं ध्यान रखा, अपने चक्कर में पड़ गए।
मैं स्टोरी सर्च कर रहा था तो
स्टोरी सर्च कर रहा था लेकिन